Welcome back, and by viewer request, y'all said you wanted to see it. This is my old Saiga 74. It ain't pretty, but it's had some updates, and that's what I wanted to talk about coming up next on GBGuns. Before I get too far into the gun, I wanted to explain the AK-74 for those who might not be familiar with it. This is an AK-74 mag. This is an AK-47 mag. You can see the difference in the curvature. That's because the 74, unlike 7.6239, which is a rather fat cartridge, there's a 223 for comparison. Got some Barnaul 545 here. It's kind of in between. Many would argue that it's less than 223. So around the year, let's guess, when did the AK-74 start getting adopted? I think maybe 1974. The Soviets wanted something lighter and easier to carry and pack than the 7.6239, and saw the US doing this with the 223-556 and wanted something like it, a lightweight intermediate cartridge, if you will. And they developed 545 by 39 because it's the same case length as 7.62, but it's a 5.45 millimeter projectile. I believe it actually comes out to 21 caliber, and they tend to be rather heavy by what you'd expect. These Barnauls are 60 grain. They hang out around there, but you notice it's a long, skinny bullet. The original, or the military 7N6 stuff that I have some, but you can't buy it anymore, had a hollow tip, not point but tip. So inside the end was hollow, and there was a piece of steel up the center surrounded by lead. That got the nickname by the Mujahideen in Afghanistan as being the poison bullet, because that length and weight distribution made the bullet inherently very unstable if it wasn't spinning. So while it was flying through the air doing its spin, everything was cool. As soon as it touched something, that lightweight front and heavy back would cause it to tumble. And as you can see, this is a very long projectile. It would flip through and cause some rather wicked maiming effect. Very effective round. As far as recoil, I'd stack them like this. It's softer shooting than 223, 556 in my opinion. Really fun round. You're still delivering quite a bit of damage, and I got hooked on these things thanks to a channel I'm sure you all are familiar with, Military Arms Channel. He did a video years ago shooting 308, 556, 7.6239, and 545 through trees. And believe it or not, the 545 was the most devastating. Not a super scientific test, and he says that clearly, but an interesting test nonetheless. If you can dig it up on his channel, I suggest you go watch it. Wicked round. What does it mean for AKs? Well, despite the fact that most people have not heard of an AK-74, they've been around for decades, and Russia swapped to them quite some time ago. It makes for a lighter shooting gun, one you can stay on target, shoots flatter. It's still not a great performer at distance, but keep in mind that Soviet and Russian doctrine has almost always been nearly entirely defensive, with the infantrymen not meant to engage anywhere outside of 300 meters or so. So within 300 meters, your 4 to 5 or 3 to 5 MOA accuracy is fine, and the round only needs to be effective in that range. So this platform, the AK and the 545, satisfy that nicely and made a pretty cool gun for it. This particular gun is a Saiga. That's how it's properly pronounced. It's a type of antelope that lives in the Caucasus Mountains. It's a really weird antelope. I have a very old video ranting about that. Если ты не знал, я имею почти свободно говорить по-русски. Sometimes. If you didn't know, I speak some Russian. So I'm able to read and pronounce that Saiga. That's what the C, A backwards N, half a T and A are in Cyrillic. These were banned from import When I bought this one, it was to be a plinker. I didn't have a huge value on it, and then I ran this thing in 3-gun matches. I ran this thing at a carbine course at Front Sight, and up here in the Northwest it rains a lot, so that means we get lots of rust coming through, like I'm sure you can see there and spot and cry about. Yeah, this thing ran hard and literally put away wet. It came up because, well, I did some refresh. I got rid of some Fab Defense vented with screw-on Picatinny rail section handguards that were great handguards, very dated by their style by nowadays. And I found these beautiful ones from a place called Lee's Mags. It's a one-man operation. He gets in small batches of stuff and then sells it out. Very simple website, but beautiful, beautiful handguards. And I wanted to put them on something, so I put them on this rifle, and man, did it spruce up. I've added a cleaning rod. That's a 7.62 cleaning rod. Hardly fits on here, but it does work for the appearance. You notice it butts up against this ugly as hell thread protector that was welded on for export purposes. And if I can zoom in here, you can see in my garage days with a Dremel, I did my best to cut those welds. Thought I did. Could not get the dang thing off. Just never took it gunsmith. At the time I did not have the resources, financially or otherwise, to have someone professionally remove that and clean it all up and use it. Like I said, this was a plinker. This is back when that 7N6 was like 16 cents a round, so it was cheaper to shoot this than to shoot most handguns. Other update I did on here is this grip from US Palm. I previously had an older Yugo style grip on there. This was a gun I had lent to a friend, and that's what she preferred. I like this US Palm. It gives good feel to it, gives it kind of a modern fighting gun look. And then the biggest upgrade that just happened is from Ace Limited. Put this receiver block on here. It's got a very clever way of attaching, and Ace Limited just recently released this triangle stock. It's not stamped, it's billet. So it is beefy as heck. Built rock solid like most of the things from Ace and Double Star, in my experience, are. Follows the classic lines. You've got a QD, a non-rotating QD spot on both sides back here, and then this folder is also theirs. See if I can do this on camera, pushing down on the pivot spot, and it folds to the right. Now when I showed the picture of this on Facebook, the AK group, and being like a lot of gun communities, everyone likes to turn on each other, was criticizing that this is folding the wrong direction. Well, maybe to some. To me, it's the right direction. Yes, the oversized charging handle knob gets in the way, so I wouldn't want to fire this closed. But guess what? I'm not running operations operationally like an operator. I'm folding this for transportation to and from the range. I'm going to have a sidearm and probably something else in the car already. I'm not going to dig out an AK-74 to repel an attacker when I've got a gun on my hip. So I'm not worried about using this in a fight, so I have it folding to this side. Why, you ask? Well, one, if I do take this gun to another course where carrying the weapon slung happens a lot, I don't want the stock, you can see how far it sticks out, getting in the way of my sling or getting caught on the sling. Two, if I take this to another course, I'm going to use this optics mount. And if I do that, I don't want the stock bumping against any slide-on optics mount bracket over here. So that's why folding to the right is the right way for me, because guess what? It's my gun. Sorry, purists. Now, back to the gun itself. You can see the Ijmash markings there, and Saiga in Latinic, along with the caliber. The importer markings. Now, the markings on these Saigas and on the Vepers, I noticed, changed over time. I've got 3 different Vepers, and they're all marked differently, and yes, one of them is also an AK-74. As far as internals, it's just like your standard AK. This locks up tight. Let me get this stock extended and turn this at an angle where I can get some leverage on it. Push in on the button, pull that dust cover off, and you can see well worn, well shot internals. I did get rid of the twisted wire spring for a slightly lighter spring, and got rid of the paper clip for one of these pin retainer systems, because any high round count gun you're going to want to do that, otherwise your pins start to walk. There's our well worn piston, including rust, but you can see everything is basically just like a 47, it's just slightly smaller to run that lighter round. We will get this out to the range and do some shooting impressions, and also get feedback from Miss Tia on what she thinks about the stock, grip, and the caliber in general. But just wanted to show you guys because you asked for it. It's a cool caliber, it's a fun platform to have, and doing this on camera is awkward. Come on. The craftsmanship and fit on this gun is not as nice on a Saiga as on the Veprs, in my opinion. There might be people who can say otherwise. There we go. But these were affordable at a time. I always wanted a side folder. I couldn't afford them when they were available. Now they're even less available and less affordable. So pretty cool that Ace Limited has this receiver block that attaches in through the 2 screws, and then on it you can mount one of their side folding mechanisms to run any Ace stock. But for me, importantly, this triangle stock made out of billet aluminum that looks great and feels rock solid. You can even adjust, I don't know if I can get camera angle on there, you can see how these holes are long. You can adjust the height to set your stock to ride a little higher or lower depending on if you're running optics. With it at this current height, when I shoulder it, my irons are lined up perfectly. So I'm looking forward to getting this out to the range. I'm going to show it to you real quick and explain a little bit about the 545x39. There's a lot more information out there about the round. If you've never shot one, don't decline the opportunity to. It is really, really pleasant shooter, and you can get fast with it. Hopefully some of my AK skills can shine, and I can demonstrate that when we get this to the range. That's my old Saiga 74. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments below, and we'll see you on the range. Thanks for watching.